Hey, welcome to Stuff to Blow Your Mind Trailer Talk. My name's Robert Lamb.
And I'm Christian Sager, and this week we are not joined by our co-host Joe McCormick because he had to go on vacation. But the two of us are going to talk about two episodes that we recorded this week for the podcast about bats and virology and how the belief in demons can make you mentally ill.
Yeah, now this is one of those situations where a lot of times we'll just focus on one episode from the week and have fun with that. This week we had two episodes that had some nice trailer talk potential, and certainly we could have taken bats or demon belief and just devoted the whole episode to that. So instead we tried to do a couple bat-related trailers and then some demon-related trailers. So we'll get some bats out of the way, and then we'll move on to demons.
And if you're watching us right now and you're going, wait a minute, who are you guys and why are you sitting in front of this green screen with these people behind you? We are the Stuff to Blow Your Mind podcast. We're a weird science, bizarre, oddities, philosophy, psychology podcast out of the How Stuff Works network. We publish episodes every Tuesday and Thursday, and then every Friday we do a trailer talk episode like this where we talk about those episodes in relation to our favorite B horror movies.
And there's our website right over there on the other side of Christian.
StuffToBlowYourMind.com, yeah. So if you haven't yet, go check out the podcast, and please do subscribe to our channel. You want to get into... Oh, there was one other bit of business I wanted to cover before we got into the topics.
Oh, C2E2?
Yeah. Next weekend, we are going to be in Chicago at C2E2. It's a big comics and entertainment convention. And on Saturday night there, we're going to be doing a live version of the podcast where we're going to be talking about weird science in the White City. We're going to be focusing on the Columbia Exposition of 1894. And talking about all the insane stuff that happened there. If you've ever read the book Devil in the White City, you have a little bit of an idea of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be a real fun live panel, and we will be there. You can meet us if you're a fan already, or just come and hear the talk if you're attending C2E2. So check it out.
Should be a nice mix of, a little bit of horror and murder, a little bit of science and technology, a little bit of religion and culture. So.
Yeah, that's basically the description of our show, yeah. So let's get into it, speaking of horror and murder and religion and science.
Yes, this first one is going to be a trailer from The Bat, 1959, starring the always excellent Vincent Price.
Now, I have a question for the audience before we get into this. When you have a bat fly into your house, or maybe it's like in your basement or your tool shed outside or whatever, and you encounter a bat, what do you do? Tell us what you do, because it's going to be important based on the stuff we're going to drop on you today.
Now, generally when you see a bat fly into your house, though, you can tell right off the bat if it is a movie bat or a real bat.
Yeah.
I really want to see a movie bat fly into my house someday, because there's nothing better than a flying bat puppet.
Yeah, this scene is pretty hilarious. So the reason why we brought up bats for this week's episode is so many people know this already, but they carry disease. And they carry a lot of lethal diseases to human beings. This includes Ebola, rabies, the Marburg virus, and SARS. But here's the thing. There's all these high-profile epidemics that are connected to bats, and we call them bat-borne viruses now. It's so common. But the thing is that we don't really know why it's happening. And there's two theories. The first is that bat-related epidemics arise because there's so many different species of bats, and there's so many individual bats. There's like millions of bats to a colony, that the emergence of all these viruses coming up out of them isn't surprising. But then we've got this really interesting theory that we looked into that basically says the bats' physiology and their lifestyle, especially because they're a flying mammal, makes them exceptionally good at hosting viruses and not getting sick. Like, they have this crazy super immune system that keeps them from getting cancer or disease.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the material we talk about in there has to do with bat metabolism and the idea that they have powered flight, so they have to use a lot of energy. So that means that when they're flying, they're running super warm, using all this energy, and then when they're resting, they're cooling down. And so this temperature differential may play a role in, say, the transmission or their ability to hold things like rabies. And this is interesting as well. After we recorded the episode, I was at an animal rescue place getting the tour. It's called Aware. It works in the Atlanta area. Really good organization. And they were talking about possums.
Yeah.
The possum apparently is one, in terms of animals you'll encounter in the wild, a pretty low risk of getting rabies from one of those, and it has to do with their temperature, their metabolism, which tends to run on the cooler end of things.
That's really interesting. Yeah, you know, like anytime in a movie, like I actually just saw this on an episode on TV recently. Like whenever somebody's like really sick and they're like potentially going to die, that's when they like fill a bathtub with ice and they throw them in there. Like we got to get their temperature down.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing with these bats is like their temperature is running so high all the time that it's theoretically just like keeping these viruses at bay.
Yeah, there's a scene in I've talked about this show before, The Nick.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Dr. Thackeray uses like a sauna device to induce an artificial fever in a character who's suffering from syphilis in an attempt to cure
it.
Yeah.
So, it's funny. Our producer's searching for the Nick right now, but he typed it with an N instead of a K. And a lot of interesting imagery came up just now. Anyways, you want to get to the next trailer?
Yeah, let's move to the next one.
I haven't seen this trailer yet.
Okay, a lot of people out there may be familiar with the Bat People, 1974, mainly because Mystery Science Theater 3000 covered it, though under a different title, It Lives by Night.
Okay.
So this is the story of a doctor who's bitten by a bat and steadily transforms into a man-bat. And then he meets other man-bats. And this is something we talk about a bit in the episode, like the envisioning like Batman, man-bat type of physiology. It's not what you'd call a good movie, but it's so saturated by the decade in which it was filmed that it has an almost calming quality to it.
This looks like a high quality, like big budget X-Files episode to me.
They filmed scenes of this in Carlsbad Caverns.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that is interesting about the Batman like crossbreeding idea is that as a result of finding out this information about all these viruses and how they're existing in the bats, some scientists are looking at, well, how do we take what we've learned from them and apply it to human health? Like, can we figure out a way so that we live longer? Or could we make our immune systems be able to combat like things like Ebola or SARS? So they're starting to look into gene editing, and they're also starting to look into ways to create medicines based on proteins that exist in bats only. So, you know, who knows, maybe 50 years from now, we'll all be taking bat pills and we'll live twice as long, we won't be able to get cancer anymore, and we'll have, like, Wolverine healing factors.
One can hope.
Yeah, yeah. So anybody out there have anything to say about how they deal with their bats?
Yeah, or the subject of bats, man-bats. There's the
How
Batman
about this?
character, Man-Bat, we talked
There
about.
is, yeah. Would you inject yourself with medicine from a bat's protein system in order to make sure that you no longer got sick and that you lived twice as long? I think yes. I think I would. Even if there's like a little bit of a side effect, like craving for blood or hairy back. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
like glider wings under my armpits.
Yeah, you might develop a taste for blood, or more likely just a high appetite for fruit.
Yeah, I'd probably eat a lot of fruit. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's our bat section of the episode. That episode came out yesterday, but on Tuesday we released an episode to much acclaim. A lot of people have written into us about this episode already, and it's about a study from 2017 that looks at the belief in demons. So let's roll this amazing trailer for this movie called The Church that we've been talking about a lot around the office lately.
Oh yeah, this is a 1989 film produced by Dario Argento and directed by the guy who directed the 1994 film Cemetery Man, which I know a number of you are familiar with. So there's a lot to love in this film. All the elements are here. So there's a strong post The Name of the Rose film adaptation energy going on, especially in the casting of Fyodor Chalipin Jr., who played the venerable Jorge in The Name of the Rose. He plays the sort of villainous character in this as well.
Okay.
And then he was also in Dario Argento's Inferno.
Yeah.
Dario produced
That's a great
this one.
movie.
Yeah, that's another one of Dario's actually directional efforts. It's worth checking out. But since Dario produced it, I don't think any of you will be surprised to notice that his daughter, Asia, I like to think of her as the Ivanka Trump of horror, she also has a role.
Yeah, she's in a lot of those, right? Is this her right here?
I don't
With
think
all the
so.
makeup
No,
on as the older lady?
I don't think she did. She did old lady
Okay.
makeup in this.
Yeah, isn't she in his Dracula film?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So other things that are great about this film, the music is a combination of Goblin, which you'd expect, Italian horror film with Dario involved.
Yeah.
Philip Glass and Keith Emerson of Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
This sounds. It sounds like I need to get along and watch The Church pretty soon because it seems pretty great. And as you pointed out to me, apparently Amazon Prime now has this like added-on subscription thing for Full Moon.
Yes.
And you can watch The Church.
You
through
can watch
that.
The Church as well as a number of at times exploitive and at times kind of sleazy B movies, but a lot of wonderful B movie horror on that network.
So while we're watching the Church and we're seeing these like goat-headed demons in the background of this Crusades-esque thing here, let's establish just a little bit of what we know about demon belief in the United States.
Well, first we should just go ahead and say we definitely approach this with the, and so do the researchers, the view that demons are not objectively real.
Right.
Certainly the subjective experience of demons can be a powerful force, and that's something that the paper explores.
And so I actually want to ask the audience, if you're watching, do you believe in demons? And if so, why? Because we found out that according to a Baylor University survey conducted in 2007, 54% of Americans absolutely believe in demons, and an additional 19.5% think that demons probably exist. Mm-hmm. So that's a majority of the population has a pretty strong belief that, you know, some kind of supernatural evil entity could mess with them in some way or another.
Right.
And maybe make them look like an old woman and rip their own face off.
Yeah, it's a fascinating study that really attempts to using survey and statistical information to get into that question of all right, how much of a connection is there between belief in demons and adverse effects in mental health?
Yeah.
And they also did a lot of legwork to make sure that they weren't looking at mental health problems influencing belief in demons,
that
but
was
rather
very
the
clear.
reverse.
Yeah, we get in depth on this study in the episode, the podcast episode, which you can go and download. And by the way, if you're just joining us, we are the Stuff to Blow Your Mind podcast. I'm Christian Sager. This is Robert Lamb. We are Weird Science Podcast, and please check us out if you haven't heard us before, or stick around and watch us talk more about demon movies for the next 20-some-odd minutes.
I got a question for you, Christian, as we continue here and move on to another trailer. You like the metal music, right?
Oh, I love metal. Yeah.
So
y'all like metal? Raise hell.
Y'all, so you also like the dark metal, the demonic metal, right?
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes.
then I have the movie for you here.
Yeah.
1988's Black Roses.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Show me the trailer for Black Roses.
All right. Let's see. Let's watch the rocking
It sounds
begin.
like a Guns N' Roses Black Sabbath crossover.
Yeah, this is...
what, is this a werewolf fronting a band?
No, he's a demon.
Oh,
The
okay.
whole band is composed of demons. So this is, again, a 1988 movie.
Okay, perfect timing.
It channels fear of demons, satanic panic, and heavy metal exploitation. For some strange reason, you have a world-famous metal band by the name of Black Roses, and they kick off their huge new, international tour in a sleepy little, suburban town.
Wow.
And the kids start turning into rockers, even though they don't. Suddenly they love the heavy metal.
Okay.
And then the kids start turning into monsters as well.
Okay.
And it just spirals from there. And it features the music of King Cobra with a K,
Yes.
Tempest,
Okay.
Hallows Eve,
Oh.
and Lizzie Borden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've definitely got an idea of what I'd be getting into with this movie now. Okay.
Yeah, and that's actually it was then King Cobra lead singer Mark Free, now known as Marcy Free, and she's still lead singer of Unruly Child.
Okay.
So
all right.
little metal.
So
trivia there
they
for you.
did the band songs basically.
Yeah, and that's the best stuff because the soundtrack in this is atrocious. but the metal, like the incidental music, but the actual rock songs are a lot of fun.
Well, so this is a perfect example of the idea of if you believed in demons, right? And so the basic study that we were looking at, it's called Demonic Influence, The Negative Mental Health Effects of Belief in Demons, and it was written by Fanho Nye and Daniel V.A. Olson, and both of them come out of Purdue University's Department of Sociology. The real brief breakdown of this paper is that their research indicates, especially among young adults, so that's people between the ages of 18 and 25, belief in demons is one of the strongest indicators of a decline in mental health, so negative predictors of mental health. They also found that if you believe in demons, that it can lead to lowering your mental health. But, and as Robert pointed out earlier, that doesn't necessarily mean that if you have low mental health, all of a sudden you're going to just start believing in demons. It's nothing like that, but it's just there's a connection between the two, a correlation, and we'll get into why in a little bit, but I think we should jump into the next trailer for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, this is The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I think was a pretty popular movie maybe 12 years ago. It came out in 2005. It is a little bit more of a psychological thriller. You're not necessarily sure whether she's actually possessed or not. And it's based on a real-life story. I want to say the victim's name was Annalise Michel, and I think it was in Germany, of which an exorcism was performed, and the young woman who it was performed upon died. And I think even the priest who performed it might have gone to jail, or at least was charged. So it's an interesting film to take a look at, especially in light of what we're talking about today.
This is a Scott Derrickson film, right? The guy who directed the recent Doctor Strange, but also directed a film that I actually enjoyed, Hellraiser Inferno.
So many good Hellraiser movies, so little time.
Yeah.
It seems like we've talked about 2 movies with Inferno in the title already, and it seems like just put that in the title and you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, you're one step closer to having a solid demon film.
All right, so I'm going to quickly explain this idea that they present to us in this paper about demon belief. And you maybe see some resonance here in The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The idea is something called ETAS, the Evolutionary Threat Assessment System Theory. And this comes from a guy named Kevin J. Flannelly, who's a senior researcher at the Center for Psychological Research at the University of Hawaii. The basic idea is that our brain structures have the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system, and the basal ganglia. And all of those have developed in a way to assess and respond to threats, right? So this sort of fight or flight response that we all experience.
Right.
Now, it's sort of like and we talk about this in the episode, it's sort of like our home alarm system that's like built into our brains.
Yeah, and I think the analogy we use, it's like you have your alarm system, but how many triggers are you going to have for the alarm system? How many different sensors that can go off? Because the sensors in your life are going to depend on your worldview. They're going to depend on what kind of risk assessment you're making of the world. Do you have to worry about the guy next door, the guy down the street? Do you have to worry about strange stop-motion demons crawling up through the gate?
Right, exactly. So when no clear threat exists, this ETAS system may still fire up. And that's what causes like a lot of anxiety and depression and paranoia and OCD, all of these mental health illnesses that we're pretty well familiar with now here in 2017. And it seems like the belief in demons is one of those triggers.
Yeah.
I'm seeing, it looks like we have a comment or a question.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Let's
that
see
right?
what we got.
We got something? Suzanne asks, why are we talking about demons on Good Friday? That is a happy coincidence.
Hey, well, Jesus cast out demons, so we think he would approve. And I on the subject, I mean, one of the things that
this is actually important to the study, yeah.
I think one of the things that we get into, and this is more of like a little bit of this is in the study, but also we kind of spin back and forth on this. Like if you have different aspects of a religion, and you have different, I don't know, let's go full Scientology and call them religious technologies.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Which ones are you going to employ? Are you going to employ the positive stuff, the stuff that, say, gives you belief in an afterlife, belief that there's a loving God, belief that there is some sort of value in being kind to your fellow human beings? Or are you going to also bring in belief in and evil spirits that are out to get you.
And that's what we learned from this study, was that there's a whole body of literature that's been conducted on all these varying levels of religiosity, and something that Robert in the episode refers to as kind of a lunch tray metaphor, where you take different beliefs from whichever religious system you subscribe to, and you say, I believe in this, I don't believe in this. So for instance, some people believe in a loving God, but they don't believe in demons. Mm-hmm. Or some people believe that if they don't pray enough, that it's bad and God doesn't love them as much.
Right.
And all of these things have varying consequences on this ETAS mental health system.
Yeah, so what I would do, I mean, I think it's all open for discussion, and I enjoy discussions of this nature, but, I mean, I would say look at what kind of ideas you're bringing into your religious viewpoints, and decide like which ones make your life better and which ones don't improve your quality of life and may even have an impact on your mental health.
So, okay, if you're just joining us, we're the Stuff to Blow Your Mind podcast. We're a weird science show. We're talking this week. We have 2 episodes. One's about bat virology. The other one is about the mental health impact of belief in demons. And we've got one more trailer, is that right? I think
so. I think we're down to the last one, but it's a big one.
It is. This is a movie that I have not seen, but I've been trying to see for at least 5 years now. And apparently, I think it was just released on Blu-ray and maybe digital streaming, so I'm going to try to get around to it soon.
All right. We're talking about 1971's The Devils.
Wait. We have a question first. We got a question coming in. Anders asks, what is the percent of male versus female demons? That's an interesting question because we take a look at the beginning of the episode, some of the like older grimoires of like, for instance, the Lesser Key of Solomon, which basically describes like, here's a list of the 72 demons that are all in charge of hell. Yeah. And each one of them has a certain amount of legions and yada, yada, yada. And we've talked about this on the show before, and it gives you, like, what their superpowers are. Like, I talked about Zagan, who can, like, turn blood into wine. So, like, that seems like it would hurt a lot if he turned your blood into wine. But almost all of those demons in the Lesser Key of Solomon, I think, are male. I can't remember a single female one. Lilith, though, is sometimes considered a demon, and Lilith is, correct me if I'm wrong here, the first wife of Adam prior to Eve?
Yeah, according to sort of Hebrew mysticism. Yeah. I think we mostly talk about male examples of demons in this. We talk about the Kappa a bit. We talk about
Oni.
Yeah, and Onis. But I think the thing is, we don't have a percentage to throw out, but the gender of demons is going to be very much entrenched in a particular culture's gender politics and gender ideas. So, like, where is strength in this gender, and where is weakness in this gender? Where is evil and where is good in this gender? And so you're going to see those typical ideas. Like, so many of these male demons are represented as like evil kings and corrupt rulers, and female demons are often presented as seducers or old crones and hags. Those typical tropes.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I think it is more common for them to be male, especially in those Dark Ages texts, because the people who were writing them were most often white, old men with money.
Yeah.
All right, we ready to get into The Devils?
The
Speaking
Devils.
of white old men with money,
1971. Yeah, and this is a film that it's long been difficult to find a quality copy of. I watched it a few years ago for the first time, and I had to watch like a ripped version of it. It was good, pretty good quality, but not the high quality that a picture of this caliber deserves. Because this is a film that is a bit infamous, that has a lot of arguably blasphemous imagery in it.
We have
some
to thank
scandalous
our
material.
Producer Ramsey. Both this trailer and the church's trailer had nudity in it, and he diligently removed all of the nudity to save you out there from seeing anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even the trailer for this is rated R.
Yeah, and it's for all these reasons, it's been hard to get a high quality copy of it over the years. It's received a lot of undue negative attention. But the thing is, this is probably one of the better films we've covered on Trailer Talk. This is a masterpiece. This is a work of art. And just to run through some of the people involved in it. This is a film by the legendary Ken Russell. It stars Oliver Reed in one of his most iconic roles, and he's the man he's on fire in just about any film he's in.
We were talking about Oliver Reed a lot before we went live with this. He's in one of my favorite movies, Burnt Offerings. He's also in David Cronenberg's The Brood.
Yeah.
he really has, like, I mean, he's gone now, but he left kind of like a swath through the horror genre in the 70s.
Yeah, he was amazing and is amazing. And this Vanessa Redgrave is also in it and gives a powerful performance as Sister Janine of the Angels. And the rest of the cast is excellent as well. The look of this thing is just impeccable. The setting here is 17th century France, a backdrop that's just rich in political intrigue, religious intolerance, persecution, all of this coming together. Belief in demons very much an aspect of it, though, because all the drama that's taking place here, like the backdrop is a world with all of these, not just demons, but a lot of very negative religious ideas.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons the film is problematic to some viewers, because it focuses on the negative aspects of religious belief.
And this connects again to that ETAS theory that's presented in the paper. They basically say it comes down to having two general worldviews that you can fall into. One is a cynical worldview where you find other people are generally selfish and shouldn't be trusted. The second one, and that would probably be what is represented in the Devils. And then the second one, though, is where the world is an equitable place and everything is fair and just. And depending on where you lean on those, your mental health can be affected.
Yeah.
If you're more cynical, like me, for instance, then you're more likely to get depressed at the world. But if you think that the world is a fair place and you see the events on the news and you go, well, that happened for a good reason, yada yada, then you're okay and you're relatively happy. Yeah. This is the very general breakdown of this theory. And so you insert demons into that, the idea that there's supernatural evil that could affect you at any time and make things chaotic, well, that seems to lean more towards a cynical worldview.
Yeah, so if you have not seen this movie, check it out. And if you haven't listened to those podcast episodes we were talking about, if you want to hear the Belief in Demons episode and really get into our discussion in depth, check it out. You'll find it at stufftoblowyourmind.com, as well as anywhere you get your podcasts. So the Stitchers, the iTunes, the Spotify,
Google Play, we are on them all. And I think that's enough for this week. But I just want to quickly remind people, if you're still hanging out with us, we're going to be in Chicago next weekend doing a live version of the podcast Saturday night at C2E2. It's going to be a blast. We're going to be there for pretty much the whole show. We'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. So if you're a fan, let us know. And please swing by and see our panel or, just download the episode next week, or 2 weeks from now, because we're going to present it to our audience as a part of the podcast.
And as we close out here, what are your favorite demon films? Let us know in the comments below. What's your favorite weird bat movie? Let us know in the comments below.
We didn't get to one of mine, which is Bats. Just Bats, which came out in 1998 with Lou Diamond Phillips.
Ooh,
very good movie. Not really.
All right. Sounds bad good.
See you all later.
Bye.
Meeting adjourned.